welcome to another knowledge-filled episode of MedSynapse podcast series. I'm your host, Hetvi Shah, and today we have an exciting and highly informative episode. We are diving into the revolutionary role of artificial intelligence on ovarian cancer in diagnosis and management, a topic that's reshaping the landscape of gynecological oncology. Joining us today is a truly remarkable guest, Dr. Deepanvita Banerjee. Dr. Deepanvita is a renowned gynec oncologist currently working as a specialist at a regional cancer center. She's also the recipient of the esteemed John N. Kapoor Traveling Fellowship in Gynec Oncology, with specialized training in robotic surgery from Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in New York. Dr. Deepanvita has extensive experience in managing complex gynecological cancer cases and is a pioneer in integrating advanced technologies in like AI into clinical practice. So, Doctor, welcome to MedSynapse, and we are thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to attend this journal club or whatever you put podcast today. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So, to start with, could you start by sharing your medical journey with us and what motivated you to specialize in gynec oncology?
So thank you for this question, Hetvi. I started my journey. I did my master's in obstetrics and gynecology from a tertiary center in West Bengal. I belong to West Bengal. Then after when I started my journey in gynec oncology, that time this gynec oncology was not so much flourished or so much in the focus as a subspecialty. So I got the opportunity to be a senior resident. I started my journey as a senior resident in this center where I am working at present as a consultant. So that is way back in 2012. So I started as a senior resident, followed by, in subsequent years, I did my fellowship. Then I did my MCH from gynec oncology from AIIMS Delhi. And parallelly in my professional life, I got absorbed as a specialist in this hospital, that is Chittaranjan National Cancer Institute, Kolkata. So it is Asia's first gynae oncology department was established in this hospital. So this was like let's
Throwback for you.
It was in my destiny to be able to help the lakhs and the millions and millions of women who are suffering from this this type of disease.
Thank you for sharing that. It is an inspiring journey. Now let's dive into our main topic. Could you elaborate on the specific AI algorithms currently used in ovarian cancer diagnosis and how do they compare to traditional diagnostic methods in terms of accuracy and efficiency?
So first, let me tell you let me clarify that AI algorithms presently which are being used in ovarian cancer detection and management are all in research setting. So there is no particular AI algorithm is being used as a standard of care and is in full-fledged use in ovarian cancer diagnosis and management. It is not yet available. So whatever data we have at present, those are all the studies which has been published in index journals and the findings which I will be subsequently telling you. The usage of AI algorithms, even one of my study also is on AI in detection of ovarian cancer, totally on the studies till now and is in research setting. So now the algorithms which has been extensively studied, the machine learning algorithms. AI is a broad term that artificial intelligence which is quietly entrenched in day-to-day care management of cancer cases at present, and it has been explored in clinical oncology services quite extensively in recent years. But particularly for ovarian cancer, there are multiple studies by authors, by researchers, which shows that The algorithms mostly tested in machine learning algorithms are the support vector machines, the random forest, the logistic regressions. These are, to name a few, Naive Bayes neural network, XGBoost. So these are the components of machine learning algorithms. Now, when we dive into the deeper part, like that is the deep learning part of AI, which on which comes the convoluted neural network, the ResNet, that has a facility of doing the automation, the segmentation, and which has its own, kind of brain, which interprets the data and gives you an objective way to gives you a result which can be used as an objective way to detect or to differentiate between ovarian cancer from the benign ovarian masses and cancerous tumors. So the machine learning algorithms like support vector, logistic regressions, these are applied in various formats, and most of the studies are retrospective in nature, and which has been applied to classify benign from malignant ovarian masses based on the features extracted from the medical images or markers or clinical features. The random forest, like which can be used as a predictive modeling, combining data from the various sources, including genetic information, and to improve the diagnostic accuracy. So if you compare, coming to your second question, if you compare the advantage or the utilization of AI in comparison to traditional diagnostic methods. So traditional diagnostic methods are subjective, physician dependent, they are time consuming, they require trained manpower for interpretation of the results, versus the advantage of using AI, which is more objective, which gives a rapid analysis, so quick time to detect to diagnose the case, which is observer independent, and you need to train the algorithms which does not always require trained experts in gynec malignancies, and which requires, which makes the management of ovarian cancer more easier and addresses the issues with the diagnostic dilemmas, especially which are associated with the adnexal masses.
Yes, that was fascinating to know, and some new insights that we've gained. Now, how has the integration of AI in imaging and pathology changed the early detection rates of ovarian cancer?
So, if we dig a bit deeper into the incidence or the ovarian cancer cases, according to Globoclan 2022 in India fact sheets, around 47,000 women are being diagnosed with ovarian cancer cases, amongst which around 32 per thousand women die of ovarian cancer cases. It is around 70% patients who are being diagnosed every year. They die. There are quite a number of patients who die of the disease. So why this so much of death, in particularly if you look into the ovarian cancer? So because the ovarian cancer does have it gives a non-specific symptoms. So the women who's having a malignant ovarian mass usually often presents with non-specific symptoms like GI, like some form of upper abdominal disturbances, anorexia, like not feeling well, not having food, generalized weakness. So it's not unlike endometrial cancer, where the women, any postmenopausal women who comes with the bleeding episodes, is quickly attends the doctor and gets her checked up. So for this non-specific symptoms, often the women goes or attends to the physician late. Now comes the diagnostic dilemma. So lots of ovarian masses in reproductive age group women are benign. So first, to differentiate between benign ovarian or adnexal pathology versus benign malignant adnexal or non-gynecological malignancies or even tumor is often requires a battery of investigations. So in traditional methods, we often come across with, like we all know, that ovarian morphology is best evaluated by ultrasound or MRI finding, whereas CT scan or PET-CT in that case gives a better evaluation of the metastatic disease or the lymph node evaluation in this ovarian mass cases where we are suspecting cancer. So often these investigations are not available, or a woman or patient who comes with non-specific symptoms, mostly probably she has taken the courage and has visited the physician. Still she has to undergo a lot of battery of investigations to come to a diagnosis of whether that mass is suspicious or not. Then what happens that even if she undergoes the investigation, maybe it's like doing a PET-CT, doing a CT scan, doing an MRI, doing an ultrasound. So it's often becomes cumbersome and it unnecessarily delays the diagnosis, the picking up the ovarian cancer cases. So most often the cases presents in a late stage of the disease. So these traditional methods are often this are relies on the multiple modalities of imaging, which addresses the diagnostic conundrum of benign versus malignant, and may not effectively integrate the data from diverse sources. But whereas if you look into the utilization of artificial intelligence or machine learning platforms, algorithms, which are nowadays we are working on it extensively, are capable of integrating multimodal data like clinical parameters, like biomarkers, tumor biomarkers, like various imaging modalities can lead to a more comprehensive analysis. So at one go, if we train the algorithm properly, so at one go, combining all these important information, including the genetic backup, genetic markers of the tumor tissue or the women, can improve the diagnostic precision and can quickly triage the women who are coming with an adnexal mass to a clinic, and they can be sent or referred appropriately.
Yes, these changes are incredible, and sometimes, as you mentioned, the number, it is also necessary. Now, how does AI enhance the capabilities of imaging technologies like MRI and CT scans in detecting ovarian cancer at an earlier stage?
So now, as I said before, that the first padao is the first stage is the diagnosis. Now, what happens of women supposedly comes to my clinic with a imaging. Now the dilemma would be like, even if she is a suspected ovarian cancer, now the dilemma would be that whether to take the patient up for chemotherapy, for the upfront surgery, versus if the patient is to be sent for neoadjuvant chemotherapy, what we say, like giving 2-3 cycles of chemotherapy prior and followed by interval cytoreduction surgery. So integration of machine learning algorithms, or the training the machine learning algorithms like SVM, RF, and LR, the other which are being trained and validated extensively in literature, they can be accurately segment the ovaries in a form like in the MRI or the CT scans, where the images can be segmented properly and can be differentiated between benign or even the malignant ovarian mass. Whereas the precision of picking up the worst affected area, like in a image where the whole ovary is replaced by a tumor, so where from to, if the women is we are sending for neoadjuvant chemotherapy, we often come across that we are taking the biopsy, but it shows that the biopsy is non-representative. To take a representative biopsy, AI can accurately segment the ovaries and segment the areas in diseased and non-diseased and the worst affected area, where from we can take a precise sample and can precisely diagnose, and which will further helps us to plan the treatment. Now, MRI or the machine learning algorithms. I'm talking about machine learning algorithms more often because my work is on ML algorithms. I have done. So machine learning algorithms, they improve the diagnostic accuracy in the term of sensitivity and specificity, and advanced like the deep learning part of the AI can extract and analyze the features from the radiological images which are uploaded, and not easily maybe the dilemma of the radiologist can be addressed, such as the texture, the shape, the vascular patterns of the tumor, which can be addressed, and which there are a few studies which has addressed these issues mostly. And the other thing which we can think about is like the extent of disease. So where there are a few criteria which shows that India is an endemic country. We do have a lots of infective endemic tropical country. India is a tropical country, so we do have lots of endemic infections like tuberculosis and other infectious diseases, where we have to differentiate between infective changes versus malignant tumor tissue. So there the precision of diagnosis is possible by utilizing this various AI techniques.
Yes, it's amazing to hear about these advancements. Now talk about surgeries. How is AI being utilized in pre-operative planning and intraoperative guidance for ovarian cancer surgeries?
We have studied for the pre-operative planning of ovarian of artificial intelligence. I would like to share my real life experience where we did a study on 50 ovarian masses who presented to us, and all the first thing which we had to detect that whether it is benign versus malignant, because the management pattern totally changes. So the tumor localization and characterization is important, and for that all the images which were being uploaded and the algorithms, we tested 4 machine learning algorithms where we tested that the algorithms tested the accuracy of detecting ovarian cancer cases. So out of these 50 cases, 25 were ovarian cancer cases. So first we tested we have to select whether the diagnostic dilemma of ovarian masses versus ovarian cancer versus benign ovarian tumors. So here many of us will raise the query that we have tumor biomarkers, we have clinical features, but as I earlier said, the clinical parameters are often non-specific, and regarding the tumor biomarkers in early stage ovarian cancer cases, the most commonly used biomarker CA-125 is not raised in 30 to 50% of cases. So it becomes a dilemma in detecting ovarian cancer versus detecting benign ovarian tumor. Now, once the diagnosis is being done, which we did in our study, then the localization and characterization. of the tumor. The AI algorithm, which can analyze the preoperative MRI and CT images precisely, and to locate and characterize the ovarian tumor, including their size, shape, the extent of spread, can be assessed by utilizing the algorithms. And as I said before, that we can triage the women if suspected for ovarian cancer, that these women with this type of extensive disease will go into the neoadjuvant chemotherapy, and this women will go for the upfront surgery. So here the other studies, retrospective studies are there, which showed that a 3D reconstruction of the ovaries, the patient's anatomy, which includes the tumor and the surrounding tissues, can be helpful in for the surgeons to visualize the surgical site more accurately and plan the optimal debulking surgery. So this is like for the pre-operative planning. So once you are prepared, you have to be prepared prior hand before you are venturing out and putting a patient under the knife and looking into her abdomen and seeing that, oh, this lesion looks suspicious, but it was not. The histopathology does not come as a malignancy, or histopathology may be a malignancy where you did not pick up or you left it behind. So in that case also, like in ovarian cancer cases, optimum cytoreduction or achieving CC0 or CC1 is very much important. Now the help of AI, like which may help in tailored surgical approaches. If we know the tumor characteristics of each patient, determining the best incision points, the most effective ways to access and remove the tumor can be possible. The AI-driven simulation platforms are there, which can allow surgeons to practice and refine their surgical techniques in a virtual environment before performing the actual surgery. Now, for the intraoperative guidance, the image-guided surgery mostly, which has been tested, that integrates the intraoperative imaging, like doing an ultrasound, with preoperative data matching to provide continuous updates on tumor location and surrounding anatomy, which again helps the surgeons to navigate complex structures and make adjustments as and when needed. So in a way, this will help the surgeon to reduce the complication, like identifying the critical structures, identifying and taking timely intervention, enhancing hemostasis by identifying bleeding sources and suggesting optimal techniques for controlling bleeding. So this all, whatever I am talking, is totally has been tested in research setting. So again, I'm reinforcing my words that it has not been implemented and is currently not as a standard, can't be used as a standard of care. But these can be the advantages of integrating AI into the day-to-day care and detecting early ovarian cancer cases and referring them to a proper doctor or the proper physician where the tumor can be taken care of in a proper way.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that. And I think AI has great benefits in the future. Now, doctor, how does AI enhance the patient experience in ovarian cancer care, and are there any specific ways it has improved patient outcome or quality of life?
Yeah, so once you are detecting early, timely identification of the mass and the accurate the diagnostic accuracy of the mass will automatically reduce the time from the present symptoms to early intervention. So that automatically reduces and helps to arrest the disease at an earlier stage. First. Secondly, if we know about the tumor in detail, and the localization, the characterization, the any specific characteristics if there, the timely identification, the therapy can be tailored. Like can be if a multi the integration of AI into uh, the management of ovarian cancer includes it's a multimodality analysis by inclusion of genetic profiles, the biomarkers, the patient histories, the imaging, which may develop personalized treatment plans, ensuring that patients receive the most effective therapies with fewer side effects. Now comes the prediction of recurrence. So, which if you are detecting a case early, it will automatically arrest the disease at an early stage. It will automatically it will delay the recurrence, because we all know that around 80% cases of advanced ovarian cancer recurs within next 2 years after completion of treatment. So if we can detect the case early and we can treat the case early, automatically we are going to prevent the recurrence, or I will not say prevent, we may delay the recurrence, which do have a role and which is considered as a good prognosis. So we have a window of opportunity which can be increased by detecting the cases early and increasing the survival of the women. Like in cancer cases, we all use this 5-year survival, 10-year survival. So that progression-free survival and overall survival will automatically increase if we detect, or if we pick up the cases rightly at right time, and then we treat her timely. Now regarding the quality of life of the women, so there are chatbots, there are virtual assistants which helps you to connect with the various support groups, the psychological well-being of the women, because a woman who is diagnosed with ovarian cancer usually gets treatment for next 6 months to 1 year if chemotherapy is being included. So in that case, psychological support and knowing about the disease is very much important. So it helps, this various platforms can be helpful in patient education, customized information, and the interactive can be used as an interactive tools for patients' well-being, overall well-being. Now, if to enhance the quality of life, this treatment like surgery or chemotherapy, they comes with a baggage of side effects. So these side effects, if the patients are aware of their side effects, if they know and if they are well versed that what is going to happen, or if there is kind of any virtual tool which can predict, various app-based tools are there, the real-time recommendations can be available for alleviating discomfort. So can be used in maybe once in a while for the women who are having or experiencing the disease and its side effects and all. But yeah, AI is not everything. AI is still in its infancy stage, like in a very primitive stage before we take this AI or take the various machine learning algorithms into clinical practice. We need large volume data sets to test the cases, because most of the studies which has been done are mostly retrospective, and the study which we have done is a prospective study which is not yet published, and we will be publishing it very soon, which shows that yes, there is a large opportunity of integration of machine learning algorithms as well as deep learning platforms into the early detection of ovarian cancer, in prediction of survival outcomes or recurrence of the cancer, and improve outcome of the patient overall.
Yes, I
Is
think,
important.
and it is also a need of an hour for ovarian cancer, the recurrence and
Yes,
the
yes.
survival.
In I think in all cancer
All
cases,
cancers.
yeah, in all cancer cases, in clinical practice itself, it has a role,
Mm.
but it is not. There are lots of negative things also are there if we speak about it. Like this, before we take AI into practice, we need large volume data sets to be tested, to be validated, to be cross validated, and to keep the data safety. That is also very important, because when we are opening or we are venturing into the artificial intelligence world, we are venturing into a black box. So there will be a future where the deep learning, if we are not vigilant from the very beginning, so the deep learning platform does have its own brain, I would say. Like they can um, think, or they can, like, integrate the thought and gives you a calculative risk. So it's a very need of the hour, but it has to be used very wisely, very in a sensitive way. And at present, AI can be used in clinical oncology practices. Like I would fix myself to ovarian cancer only, in ovarian cancer cases, but not in a hurry, and not it has to be in a stepwise manner. So in with this line, I would like to discuss about my study also a bit. So where I did tested 4 machine learning algorithms, which is a prospective study, which we did during my tenure in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, where we did a study on testing 4 machine learning algorithms, taking 20 parameters. Out of them, 20 parameters, out of them 12 were radiological, and 5 were clinical, and 5 the rest were tumor biomarkers. So where we saw that the diagnostic accuracy of machine learning algorithms were quite good and comparable. So I'm not divulging the data at present, but it is more around 92%. So it has quite an opportunity, the machine learning platforms, and has quite an opportunity to be integrated into our clinical practice. But yes, as I say, that it has to be ventured very cautiously and in a stepwise manner, maybe, and large volume data sets, keeping the data in check. The quality assurance of the data is also very important to have, because machine learning algorithms, they needs to be trained. So it depends on how the trainer is training the algorithm. So for that also, the control has to be in the on hands of the experts, and if carefully applied, it will be very useful and can be helpful in day-to-day clinical practice in detection and management of ovarian cancer cases.
Yes,
Thank you.
rightly said by you. And a lot of work needs to be done, especially in a stepwise manner.
Yes, it is required.
Yes, so as we conclude today's episode, thank you so much, Dr. Deepanvita, for sharing these invaluable insights and with us. And it was a pleasure having you with us today, and we will be looking forward for more such discussions in the future.
Thank you so much, Hetvi, and thank you, MedSynapse, for giving me this opportunity. And knowledge increases when you share it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this discussion as enlightening as we did. And thank you for tuning into today's episode. And remember, if you're a healthcare professional who is eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, don't hesitate to join us on MedSynapse platform. MedSynapse platform is not just a resource, it's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing evolution of healthcare. Stay tuned for more such insightful episodes. Take care.